Hey guys, looks like we are.
Good morning.
Good morning to everybody.
Good morning.
Yes, we're getting everybody still entering into the class. There are a few of you who may not be here. We have a special guest speaker today. So I see you, Robert. I saw that you had joined in too. So yes, hello, Robert. Before I hand it over to Robert, though, I want to first and foremost, I wanted to share my screen, and I was going to do a quick presentation to you guys because I know that a lot of you had shown an interest in this. So I am going to share my screen here, and then I'm going to hand it over to you after that, Robert. Okay, so let's go to share screen. Okay. Okay, we got everybody on the screen share, and this is what we're going to discuss. Let me go to the slideshow. Okay, and let me see if I can move this up. I think if I move this, there we go. Okay, so Alyssa and I are flying to, oh, now it doesn't want to do it. Just a second here. Give me 1 second. Let me just redo this. Just a second. Just a second. Okay, that's not what I was trying to do. Okay, now I think it is letting me do it. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, everybody see my screen? Good. Okay, Alyssa and I are flying to, okay, now just a second. Now it did it again. So I moved this. That's what I did. Okay, so let's see. I'll move it to the bottom. Let's see if that does it. No, it didn't do it. Okay. Okay, just a second. Okay. Let's try this again. Okay. Alyssa and I are flying to Bora Bora in June, the Mykonos in July, and Rome, Italy in August. And all the flights are business flight class. We're flying business class, and they were all free. Oh, and did I mention we'll be staying in an overwater bungalow at the Conrad Bora Bora for free? Well, I shouldn't say free because we do have to pay a few $100s in taxes. Now, how am I able to fly the world for free and travel the world for free? By getting numerous uses out of a single dollar. Here is an example of how we get numerous uses out of a single dollar. We spent $15,000 rehabbing one of our rental properties in October of last year. We paid the contractor with PayPal using one of our American Express cards. So we ended up getting 1.5 times the points for every dollar we spent, meaning that American Express credited us 22,500 points. Now, it only takes 22,000 points to fly from LA to Rome, Italy on a one-way via economy. Now, if you were to pay cash for that flight, the economy flight to Rome, it would cost you about $1,487. Now, if we had wired the contractor $15,000 out of our bank account, we would have just been $15,000 lighter in our bank account. No extra added benefits. But by using our Amex card, we were able to take advantage of all the benefits. And no, this is not an advertisement for American Express. I'm just letting you guys know that the thought process behind chopping up and cutting up your credit cards, the old Dave Ramsey school of thought, it really doesn't work because that thought process is just using your dollar one time. I like to use our dollar multiple times. And oh, of course, what about the fees? Because everybody asks, well, if you're using credit cards, what about the fees? The only fees you incur are fees if you don't pay off your statement balance at the end of the month. That is the important balance to pay off, the statement balance. You don't have to pay off the full total balance, but if you pay off the statement balance, they're not going to be able to collect any interest off of you. And the small percentage fees that you incur by using PayPal or some of our other integrations that we use to make payments, and they're negligible in comparison to the benefits you get. Now, we have over 1 million points on American Express and thousands or hundreds of thousands of points on our other credit cards. You can see here's a screenshot of the last time I took a shot of the American Express. You can see it's over 1 million points. And the way we achieved it is by paying all of our large payments with certain credit cards, including our mortgage payments. A lot of people don't think you can pay your mortgage with a credit card. We can. And I'll show you guys how we do it. You can pay your car payments. You can pay your taxes, insurance, any large payments you have. You're going to have to pay them anyway. If you pay them with your credit card, you're going to be able to use your dollar multiple times. So we're going to show you guys how to do all of that. So that's one of the benefits of being in this class. Now, before we show you guys how we do that stuff, I want to introduce you to our guest speaker, Robert Bell from Avalon Capital. Now, we talked last week about the B in BURP, our BURP principle. And now specifically, the part of the B we were talking about last week was where we buy the properties. Like we're talking about location, where to buy. Now, what Robert's going to talk to us about is the other part of the B. Where do you get the money to buy the properties? So without further ado, I'm going to stop the screen share. And Robert, take it away, my friend. Robert, you're going to have to unmute yourself. Just a second, guys.
Okay, so sorry.
No problem, buddy.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really, really so glad to address your group. And basically what we do as a private lender, we give you the ability to compete with the cash offers and provide the money, the cash quickly to buy these purchases. We do it in a way that a traditional bank cannot. So we will loan up to 75% of the after repair value of the property. Once you apply for a loan, we quickly rush out and take a look at the property just to make sure we understand the lay of the neighborhood and the block. We will look up the comparable sales to quickly assess the value of the property. And then when we come up with a figure, we will give the thumbs up that the property is approved, and then I'll hand the loan off to someone else on the team. Claire on our team has been doing closings for over 20 years. She comes through the paperwork and looks to find any issues, any problems, and we get those sorted out, and then we go to closing as quickly as possible to not waste time. And anyway, should I go over Korbie? What other things should I go over?
Well, you touched on one thing which is very important, and I want the class to know. Robert and his team, they're very, very quick on lending money. The thing about it is that being a hard money lender, hard money is the equivalent of cash. And we've closed deals. I mean, I've taken deals to Robert and they've closed deals for us in 3 days. I mean, that's how quick they move. And so what I wanted to make sure and talk to you guys about is that if you guys have questions for Robert and you want to know like any kind of criteria or any questions as far as the loan process, I want you guys to ask those questions, because this is you're going to get to know him. He's going to be somebody who's going to be your best friend, because he's going to be able to loan you guys the money so that you don't have to use your own money. You can actually leverage his services and make it to where, you'll come to the table with a certain percentage. And that's, that might be one of the questions you might ask as far as, what percentage. Some of you have asked me, how much money do I have to bring to the table? And Robert can explain that to you, that, okay, if we're going to charge a certain percent, and this is what, you're going to have to bring to the table. And ultimately you can be prepared to say, okay, this is a good idea. So
Absolutely. Thank you, Korbie. Yeah. So basically, we've got a full team who we respond very quickly to our phone calls and texts and emails to get questions answered very quickly. And so, for instance, the process for applying for a loan, it basically will ask you the purchase price of the property, and then the total loan amount that you're asking for. We can include some renovation funds in the loan if it fits within the 75% of the after repair value. And I'll give you, for instance, with real easy numbers. Let's say the after repair value of the property was going to be $100,000. We could loan up to $75,000 on that property. And so, basically, you guys are looking for these properties that are kind of a little bit weathered, that need some repair, and so basically you find the properties that are distressed and the banks won't loan on them, and then we can come in and make the loan. We charge 5 points origination fee. So on a $100,000 loan, that's a $5,000 origination fee, and we charge 1% interest only per month. And so on $100,000, that'd be $1,000 a month monthly payment. And those cost you build into your deal to make sure that it's going to be profitable for you. But we help you by keeping you out of danger, making sure that the property is lendable, investable, and we go out and crunch the numbers and look at the property. Anyway, the whole process for us hinges on getting the application in, the purchase price of the property, seeing some pictures of the inside and out of the property, and then ultimately looking at your scope of work, what repairs you're going to do to the property to help determine the end value of the property. From there, we go through the process, the closing process, and Claire in our office make sure that all the title work is done professionally and that there are no loose ends on the title, and then we fund the purchase.
perfect, Robert. Now
I have a question.
yes, go right ahead.
This is Marty. So when the loan company goes out there, when they say inspections, do they hire an inspector to do like a physical inspection, making sure the plumbing's good, foundation is good, the bones of the house isn't, is in good shape? How does that work? Was that included in that inspection report, or do you, as Korbie, hire somebody to go out there, and or do we have
that is a great question. And as part of our process, we only do a superficial investigation of the property. We don't do an in-depth inspection of the property. So if that's something that you need, then that's would be between you and your contractor to get boots on the ground and really like get underneath the property and dig in deep like that. So that's not a part of our process.
Yeah, that actually, so Mary and Marty are actually in the process of purchasing a particular property, and we're actually going out there on Monday to do that. So we're going to send Frank, or we're going to send one of our other contractors to go out there and physically, walk the property and see if there's any problems with the foundation or any problems with the roof, that kind of thing. And then when we come back, then we can actually make up in the contract. We can say, oh, this house has a leak in the roof, and so therefore we're gonna negotiate the cost down, and we're gonna say, because we're gonna have to replace the roof or what have you. So yeah, so to answer your question, Marty, Avalon doesn't do that portion of it, but we do that part of it. So you'll be using part of our team, and whether it be Frank or whether it be Alex Craig from CB Properties or one of their contractors, they'll go out there and they'll look at the property and see if there's any major problems or anything that we need to be able to negotiate into the cost of the deal.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome, buddy.
Perfect.
Robert, what about the transactional lending that you guys have now? I wanted to ask about that so that this way we can make them aware of that as well. What exactly is that, and when does that come into play?
So let's say you come across a property that's got a lot of value, that's potential value, but you may not want to fool with it in terms of buying it, owning it, and rehabbing it. You may just want to pass it on to somebody else. And so our transactional funding will allow you to basically, the way we do it, as a double close. And so if you can get the property under contract and then with the seller, so there's an A to B side and a B to C side. And so as part of the initial purchase, you get it under contract, and then before you pay for it, you find somebody to buy it from you. We can fund that transaction without you having to put any money into that transaction, and we just charge a 1 3/4 point fee for that.
Got it. Okay. So
And so basically, it's the equivalent of an assignment, but in many cases, if the ultimate end buyer sees the amount of money in the deal, they may walk away. They may try to squeeze it down, and so this allows you to have a transactional deal where they do not see what you're purchasing the property for.
got it. Okay, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Perfect.
is that did that answer your question, Korbie? Because
Yes,
I didn't know.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's good to
And
know.
And those deals, they're out there. You can find them. And so sometimes if you see something and you're like, oh gosh, I want to buy this, but I'd really just rather not own it, not do a BRRRR deal with it, but just find somebody else to do that part. Then that's when that transactional lending comes into play.
Got it. Okay, perfect. So guys, do you have some other questions? Who has a question?
I do. I guess
Mallory.
what's the benefit of doing that?
Well, let me answer that, Robert. Let me see. So,
Sure.
Mallory, the answer to that question is that sometimes we do what we call wholesale deals. Okay, so if you do a wholesale deal, what happens in a wholesale deal is that you actually find a property. There used to be something called driving for dollars, or driving for you knock on doors. And so you find a distressed property and you go knock on the door, and then you'll find that the seller is a motivated seller. He might be in a position where he's going through a divorce, or he might be in a position where, for whatever reason, he has to get rid of the property and he wants to get rid of it at a discounted price. And so let's use round numbers again. So in a round number situation, let's say that this property is worth $150,000. Okay, and you're able to go and knock on this person's door and you say, okay, it's worth 150,000, and you're able to get a deal and say you actually get the property under contract for $50,000. Okay, now if you have a $50,000 property, it's worth 150,000, and then you go to sell it, and let's say you go and you sell it, and you're selling it to somebody, and the person who you're selling it to, if they see the profit you're trying to make, let's say you sell it for 100,000. Now that would still be a good deal because you got the property. The property is worth 150,000, and you got the property for 50,000, and you're selling it to somebody on the market for 100,000. So it's still a good deal for that person. But if the person sees that you're purchasing the property for $50,000, they may decide that, hey, I don't want you to make $50,000 profit on me. So what I want to do is I want to see if I can negotiate this price lower. I want to see, instead of me buying it for 100,000, I'd like to buy it for 75. I'm okay with you making $25,000 on me, but I'm not okay with you making $50,000 on me. You see? And so when you do a transactional loan with Robert and the guys, what he's saying is that essentially when you do the transactional loan, you get the property under contract, and they don't disclose what you're paying for the property. So essentially, you can go in there and you can say, "Hey, I'm selling it for 100,000," and then therefore the person who you're selling it to does not see that you actually are paying only 50,000 for it. You see?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Have you come across any of those opportunities?
The $50,000 deals.
Like where they're wanting to get rid of it for extremely cheap and you buy it and then you do a transactional deal with somebody.
You can. I'll tell you that the best deals are the deals that aren't on the market. So when we get finished talking to Robert and we talk to Randy and we go on to Redfin and we start looking at deals, you'll see that some of these deals are just way overpriced because everybody that's selling their house, they have a misinformation. They think that their house is worth a certain amount. And so that's why these houses are sitting on the market. So there's certain times when there's a buyer's market and there's certain times when there's a seller's market. And so to answer your question, I have found deals like this, but usually you have to look for them. They're not just going to be sitting right in front of you. So you have to find a distressed property. So that's why we call it driving for dollars, or you have to actually be able to search and you have to, we have actually a website where we haven't finished it yet, but we're in the process, Sell Your Home Memphis, where people are looking to sell us their distressed properties. And so when they sell it to us and we come across a deal, we're not trying to make $50,000 on you guys. We're going to pass on that value to you. We're going to say, "Hey, look, we'll make a couple thousand, whatever." But then this way, you guys will have that equity in the house, and you'll be able to really, take advantage of it.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes. So, does anybody else have a question for Robert here while we have him on the phone? Guys, remember, this is going to be your best friend because you guys as investors, you need to be able to close deals quickly. And I can tell you some stories. I tell you the story where I was dealing with another lender and we were trying to close a deal and it was taking forever. And we were trying to close this deal, trying to close this deal, trying to close this deal. I literally said, "Listen," I called Robert and I said, "Hey, Robert, we need you guys to fund this deal." Within 3 days, they took the properties from the other lenders, and I think it was like 4 or 5 houses. I can't remember, but you guys closed all those deals for me, and we did it like in 3 days. So just so you know, it's really it's awesome that they work really really fast. Okay, Angelina, I see you have a question, so go ask
Yes.
away.
Hi, Robert.
Hey, Angeline.
So going back to the 5 points origination fee with the example that you have 100,000 and then of course the 5,000, is what we'd pay for the fees. And then you talked about the 1% interest only, which would be 1,000 a month. Can you explain a little bit more on that one?
Yes, absolutely. So the annualized interest is 12%, and so the monthly interest is 1%. So on the $100,000, that's $1,000 a month, and so that would be your mortgage payment, and it's just interest only. So let's say you held the property for 4 months, so you've paid us 4 monthly payments of $1,000. And our loan is a 6-month loan, and so then at 6 month, the loan has a renewal. Currently, the way we're doing our renewal is the rate just goes up to 1.5% per month with no renewal fee. Is what happens at 6 months.
So in other words, if we don't refinance it into our names within 6 months, the renewal would be 1.5. So then the monthly payment would go up to 1,500.
Exactly.
Okay.
So no renewal fee. The rate just goes up from basically 1% per month to 1.5% per month.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
And I was going to say, basically, it's in your guys' interest to kind of move quickly because private money or hard money is expensive, and we're aware of that. And anyway, so that's why these deals they're meant to be really short-term loans to turn things quickly. What else was I going to say? Yeah, that's, what I was going to say is with a mortgage, this works like any traditional mortgage in the sense that during closing, you will pay per diem interest for the month that you're in. And so your first payment doesn't really hit until after one full month. And so let's say you closed right now in February, you would pay at closing the per diem interest for February, and your first payment wouldn't be due March 1st. Your first payment would be due April 1st. So you get this period where it feels like you're getting a free month, but interest is paid in arrears. And so you sort of get that you get that break. It feels like you're getting a break where you get this big gap. So it's not like you close and then you turn around and then a week or two later you've got a payment due. So and when we talk about months, how many months your loan is, it starts with the first full month. We don't include that per diem period as a month. So basically our loan it's a 6-month loan plus that per diem period.
Okay, and then now when you're going, let's say it's month 4 and we're going to refinance it into our name with our traditional bank, correct?
Right.
And that's that would be considered a refinance at that point then, correct?
Right.
Okay. And have we experienced, and I know you're the hard money lender, but has there been any issues with refinancing into a personal, or a regular loan? Has there been any issues?
Well, that process is very dynamic, and the lenders on that end of it, they look at things like personal credit. That's something we don't look at, and they also look at things like rent. They're just different types of refinances, and so I always say it's best to really start that process as early as possible, because the people that you speak with on the refinance side of it, they're the ones that tend to overpromise and underdeliver, and they're the ones that you have to kind of keep them on speed dial to make sure that they don't drop the ball. For the most part, we've seen everybody, clear their loans off quickly and without any problem. But, every once in a while, they'll get a hold of somebody that doesn't move as quickly as they need to. And I feel like that's kind of a combination of you guys have to stay on top of them to make sure that they move quickly. And if you feel like you're working with somebody that's not moving quickly enough, or maybe an appraisal doesn't come back where it needs to, then Korbie can tell you it might be time to ditch that person and go on to somebody else.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And
Thank you, Robert.
Right.
you're welcome.
Korbie, just
Angelina,
a follow.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
just to make sure, I'll follow up just a little bit of what Robert said, and then we'll make sure that he's answered your question. But the problems that you'll run into when it comes to refinancing are going to be problems with the appraisal. That's what we've noticed in the past. And so we have a list of appraisers who are actually good appraisers. And so if you go to a lender and you say, let's say, for example, you get the hard money loan with Robert, and then after you get the hard money loan done with Robert, you decide you want to get the house refinanced, and you want to refinance it with Lima One or with West Capital Lending or SNMC or one of these other companies. What ends up happening is that once you go to the refinance, they will the first thing they do is they check your credit to say, okay, yes, you have a decent credit score and we can do this deal. And then from there they say, we're going to go ahead and assign your house an appraiser. And so we have a whole list of appraisers that are good and a whole list of appraisers who are bad. And so if you spend $700 or $750 or whatever it is for an appraisal, you have the right to deny an appraiser. And we've done this before. And I'll just give you a quick case point study. Kira, and Robert knows about Kira. We have a house. There's a small house on the house is Robin Hood. Okay, the house is it's in Sherwood Forest. It's 1,000 square foot house. And Kira went to get the house appraised. And the appraiser that she got at first was a gentleman. I don't really know. I don't want to put him on blast, but I'll put him on blast. His name was Ray Edgar Hoover. Okay, so this appraiser sucks. Okay, I'm just going to say that he sucks. So he went out there and he was supposed to appraise his house. I told Kira beforehand. I said, listen, I said, don't use him. I said, deny the appraiser. And so she went ahead and denied it. And ultimately, she ended up getting a good appraiser. And the appraiser she got was another appraiser who's actually good. His name is Sam King. And Sam went out there and gave Kira an honest appraisal, and the house came in, small little house, came in at 116,000. So Kira ended up getting paid at the end of the deal. So she had paid, I can't remember if she had paid 75,000 or she had paid 70,000 or whatever for that property. And then when the house was appraised, ultimately at 116,000, she was able to get 75% of that value from the house. And so at the end of the day, she ended up getting like $7,000 back or something like that. They ended up paying her money. So the appraiser can make or break you. So you have an idea. So you understand that this is definitely something which, that will be the problem you'll run into. So whenever you get ready to refinance, if you have some kind of issue or you're not sure, you just let us know and we'll tell you, hey, look, who did you get? And if you get an appraiser that's bad, I'll say, nope. So go ahead and deny that one. Let's get your money back. If they won't reassign the appraisal, get your money back. Don't waste your time, because that appraiser is not going to give you a good appraisal.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I didn't even realize you could deny him or get your money back after it's been done. So,
Oh yeah, 100%. Well, you don't let them do the appraisal, so that's why.
gotcha. Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So if they do the appraisal, you can't get your money back. But that's why
Okay.
you got to move fast. So once, and that's another thing I let all of the students know. Put yourself down as the point of contact for the appraiser. Don't make the mistake of putting down your property manager. Some of the students in the past have put their property manager down, and then the appraiser is able to circumvent the student and just contact the property manager and go out there. And then before you know it, you're like, oh, I didn't even know the appraiser had gotten in touch with the property manager. I don't know what happened. And before you know it, you have this bad appraisal and you've got this mess where you've paid for an appraisal. You're not going to get a refund. You have to just take your loan to a different lender. And ultimately, we've done that too. And just so you know, you have options. You don't have to stick with one lender if you go to get the refinance and they're not treating you right.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
what happened to me.
Ray, yeah, that is, yeah. Ray's on the call too, yeah, and Ray will tell you, because the appraiser that I was talking about actually appraised Ray's house, and so this same appraiser that we warned Kira about, unfortunately, he was the one that got, Ray got this appraiser, and the appraiser circumvented Ray because Ray had apparently given the information to his property manager. And that's what ended up happening. So Ray got this horrible appraisal, and this same house, there was a little house again. Sometimes these little houses are little gems. You can actually really make out like a bandit on these houses. But there's a little house Ray had. Ray, was it your house that was on Sharp, or which house is the one that appraiser got a hold of?
Yeah, it was the house on Sharp.
Yeah, the house on Sharp. Ray had paid, I think it was like 74 or 75,000 for it.
71.
Pardon me?
71.
71. Yeah. And this same appraiser came in and said that the house was worth 85. Okay. So of course that goes to show you that Ray would have been underwater if he had tried to go through with that refinance. So we ended up going to a different appraiser, and another appraiser came in and appraised same house. And they came in at how much, Ray? What was the same appraisal?
118.
118,000. So you see the difference that an appraiser makes? So let me just do some quick math. I want you guys to see this. I want you to know, okay, if Ray had gone through with the first appraisal at 85,000, 75% of 85,000 means he would have only gotten a refinance number of $63,750. Okay, now keep in mind, he's in the house for 71,000. Okay, so 71,000, it means that Ray would have had to come to the table with $7,250 plus closing costs. So he would have had to come to the table with probably around $12,000 to close this deal. Now, the other appraiser, same house, keep in mind, came in at 118,000. Okay, at 118,000, 75% of that is 88,500. So then if you subtract the 71,000 that Ray's in, and you come up with a total of 17,500. If you take the closing costs out of that, Ray is gonna, it means he's gonna walk away from the deal with close to between $10,000 and $11,000. So that's the difference that a good appraiser or an appraisal makes. So you guys know.
So Korbie, going back to
Yes.
that appraiser again. So do they give you, or did they give Ray, like in that situation, the first one, like, this is what I'm thinking it would come in. It's going to come in at 85. So that's why he went with another one.
No.
Or-
What happened on that case was that Ray at the time was taking a break from the class. And so Ray, for whatever reason, he went through with that appraisal. He didn't know that was a bad appraiser. So he went
Gotcha.
through with the appraiser. And so he was actually in the process of refinancing his house with SNMC. And so when that happened, it ended up being a situation where basically they told him, "Hey, Ray, you're going to have to come to the table with $12,000 or $14,000. And so then Ray called me and he said, "Hey, this is what happened." I said, "Look," I said, "we're going to take it from SNMC." I said, "Move the loan over to Lima." So we moved the loan over to Lima 1. And ultimately what happened was Ray got a good appraiser at Lima. And I believe it was Justin Hippner. I can't remember. But anyway, this appraiser came in at 118,000. And so he didn't get the money back from the appraisal. But ultimately what ended up happening was that it was a good story. So he ended up getting a good appraisal and he ended up walking away with money as opposed to losing a bunch of money.
So it's worth paying 2 appraisals on that one. For
100%. Yeah, he got paid back.
I got you. And just another question, and I guess it's probably, obviously, I know for the refinance part, but going back to Robert with the hard money. I understand now the 1% and whatnot, but so when we do the hard money lend or loan, does that include tax and escrow? Does the 1% include the tax and mortgage homeowners?
No, we do require homeowners insurance, but all we have in our payment is just the interest only.
Interest only. So,
Mhm.
so Robert, to clarify, then you all would require us to then get the escrow or at least the homeowners part?
Right. We before closing, we require the insurance declaration page so that we can see that we're listed on there as the mortgagee, the lien holder, and then also it has to be a little special insurance that's got builder's risk or something that informs the insurance company that it's not currently occupied or that it's investment property.
Okay.
And
Okay.
and so basically, we either require you to show that you've paid some premium ahead of time, or that can be paid at closing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh.
and usually we pay it at closing. So we usually what happens is you just have to show the proof of insurance. But what's going to happen is that when you go to close with Randy, you're going to find that you're going to pay all of that. You're going to pay those fees at closing, so you should be fine.
And Korbie, you have a current. Do you have a current company you work with on that?
For insurance, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have multiple companies. We always want to have choices. So we have, we work with State Farm. Jessica's good. We work with LP Insurance, and we also have, a couple of people on Farmers too. So we have different options. If we get an insurance quote we don't like, we can always go down to to somebody else if we need to.
And thank you. And I do want to have a conversation off the grid on that one when you have a chance.
Most definitely.
Thank
Yes.
you. It'll
Korbie,
benefit everybody.
Yes.
I have a question. Back on the hard loan, the first 6 months, the 1%, you're saying after that it's a 1.5% up to 12 months.
right?
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then the other is, will you loan multiple loans? Like if we come across 2 houses, 3 houses within that
We
year.
can do 3 at a time for you guys.
All right. Not that we're gonna do this, but you know, you never know.
Well,
Right, right.
just so you guys know, when you start becoming a seasoned investor, so to speak, Robert will loan you as much as $1 million. You know, we've had, you know, we've had several loans. There was a time, I think, Robert, that we had I think as many as like 10. We had a whole bunch of loans in there, and I remember Robert even calling me and saying, "Hey, you want to close some of these out?" I said, "Well, no problem." Yeah, we
Yeah,
close
we
them.
love it. We love it. So that's great. Yeah, no, we all like to start with one, but yeah, we can actually stack them from there. Yep,
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
sure.
Okay, guys.
Corbie,
Yes, go
let me
ahead, Robert.
mention this really quickly about insurance, something that you may not even know, but the company that we use for our software has an integrated insurance quote system, and basically Claire in our company is handling that. And so if you guys ever want to check with the insurance that is sort of affiliated with the software, we found it to be a very reasonable and quick process. And
Oh, okay.
yeah. And
Very
so
nice.
I would just invite you guys to just at least try it out, because it's integrated in, and it's something that Claire and our company took the ball and ran with, and it seems to be working very well. I think that the quotes have come back quickly, and they've come back to be very competitive.
Very good. Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so there you guys have it. We have another option too with insurance. So when you go to do the loan, when you're going to close it, there's two things that are a requirement, and the two things that you need to make sure that you work on getting to Robert and the team is scope of work, which is number one, and number two is insurance. And so what Robert is telling you guys now is that in a sense they have insurance integrated into this whole deal too. So if you want to get a quote from them, you can simply just say, "Hey, Claire, you know, when the loan is going through, can you give us a quote for insurance?" And then they will actually give you a competitive quote as well. So there you have another option.
Yeah, it's a nice thing.
Okay, hey, how about your contact information? Will you be forwarding that to us?
Oh yeah, I'll be getting that to you guys. Yeah, don't
Okay.
worry. I'm gonna get you guys all the information. So this way, and that's one of the things I tell you, the benefit of the class is that they say mi casa su casa. So all the things I have are gonna be available to you. So we're gonna allow you to, you know, you have access to Avalon and Robert and the team. You're gonna have access to all of the different insurances. You're gonna have access to the property managers. You're going to have access to the contractors, and so that's the main thing. That's why it's so beneficial, because most of the classes that you take, they say, "Hey, you know, we're going to teach you this and this, and you know, open your book to chapter 7, and oh, you want to find a contractor? Oh, go find that on your own." You know, no, but we actually, you know, we teach you by doing. So that's why as you're going through, you know, like I said, Mary and Marty, as a matter of fact, we're in the process of getting one of the houses under contract. So if we're able to get this house, I can't remember, is it on Sanford, or what was the street that you guys,
It was leather or something, I think.
Leatherwood, maybe? Leatherwood?
Leatherwood?
Yeah.
Yeah, Leatherwood. Yeah, that one is one that Frank is going to go check that one out tomorrow at 12:30. So if that one comes out good, that will be your first property. You know, we'll end up moving forward, and it's actually a really good deal as far as the numbers and everything like that. So
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
welcome.
Looking forward.
Yes. Anybody else with questions before we let Robert go? Okay, you guys, Robert's been kind enough to give his time on this Sunday afternoon. So if you guys have any other questions, let's make sure and ask them now before we move on. Questions, going once. Questions going twice. Okay. Well, Robert, we really appreciate it, buddy. I know this is going to be a good class, and And you're going to be getting a bunch of guys. More than likely, like I said, you'll be getting an application from Mary and Marty here maybe this week if this house pans out. And we really appreciate your time and the information. And we'll be looking forward to coming and seeing you in Memphis in May for the barbecue cooking championships.
I can't wait. We will have fun, and I look forward to working with all you guys. And thank you for giving me the opportunity. And just all you guys, remember our team is really easy to talk with. And so any questions at all, just let us know and we can handle it. So thank you so much.
Awesome, Robert. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you,
All
Robert.
right.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
Robert.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Okay, so let's move now, guys, and we're going to move to Randy for his portion of the class. Okay, so just like I said, we have the BURP principle. So it's buy, renovate, rent, and then pay off, or refinance and then pay off. So we're going to go to Randy now, and then we're going to, after that, we will, if we have time, go on into the part where I'm going to show you guys some of the credit card hacks. All right, so Randy, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I just had to redo my computer, so I might sound a little bit different than I normally do, but
Randy,
I'll
you
try
got a deeper voice, buddy.
Oh, yeah. All right, whatever. Anyhow, I'll try to make this a little bit more brief than normal so that you have a little time to go through yours. Last week we talked a little bit about our $100,000 house, which is again about the average of what we're looking at for homes in Memphis. We kind of talked about how the amortization schedule is structured. I'm going to share my screen here. Does everybody remember seeing this? Can you
Yes,
see my
indeed.
screen? Perfect. All
Yep.
right. So again, we have our $100,000 house at 8%. We're going to build on that. Some of the things before we look at how to pay off these homes earlier, we kind of want to know what these banks and financial institutions are doing to basically put our money into their pocket. Part of being able to pay them off early and make sure we know why they are so successful is to understand why they're so successful. So today, the things that I'm going to talk about are the way that they make money. And they unfortunately use our own psychology against us. And we're going to talk through that here in just a moment. They use our time against us. And then they use the illusion of choice. So we'll run through all of those briefly. I'm going to come back here. So again, we've got our first 10,000. I think we all talked about it. That first 10,000 is going to take 8 years, 8 months to pay off. And in that $165,000 worth of interest that you'd pay over the life of the loan, you pay $66,289 in that first 10 years. So we all, just to kind of catch up, if you guys weren't in the class last week, 1/3 of the interest that we pay on our house actually happens in that first 8 years, and we only get credit for the first $10,000. So we pay $76,000, we get credit for value of 10, we pay down our mortgage to 90, and they get $66,000. Here's where the psychology really comes in. I think all of us have heard the notion of a 7-year itch. And granted, by the way, this $100,000 loan, it's similar whether you have a $250,000 house, $1 million house, or a $100,000 house. The structure of your payments is going to be exactly the same. So this is where it's super insidious. They're getting about 1/3 of their total interest in the first 10,000, or basically 9 years of your house. But what happens in that first 9 years? You get that 7-year itch. You want to take a vacation. You want to change out your car. Your roof goes bad, or you need to take some money to be able to do something different. And the banks know that. That's why, though I don't like to necessarily say that the interest is front loaded, the way that the amortization schedule is designed is so that they get the bulk of their money in those first few years. Now, when you get that 7-year itch, you're going to start seeing, if you any of you have owned your own homes, which I believe most of you would, you're probably getting these the letters from the banks, and they say, hey, you're able to refinance, go into some of your equity, we want to get you a better rate. They want to start you over on that amortization schedule, and they know that within that first 7 to 15 years, at some point about 90% of us are going to start that math over. So you might get a smaller interest rate, but because they front loaded the interest, they've already gotten a third of what they would have gotten this one. They will push you back and take more of your money. So you want to be very careful. I talked a little bit about it last week. You always want to be able to do your own math and make sure that a refinance, outside of obviously doing the hard money, you have to get into your name, but doing refinances often does not benefit you other than getting cash out for additional money producing properties. It normally does not work from a math perspective. So that's the first way that the banks will get you. They'll reset you back so you're starting all over. It takes 21 years to pay off half of your house. So understand that piece. If they can get you in that first 10, that first at the 15, that next $10,000 they're going to pay you, then it take you 5 years, you're going to pay 34,000. So in that first 13 years, you're going to pay them $100,000 in interest on your $100,000 home. It's in their best interest to then start the clock all over so that you're paying the bulk of your money back to them. So most people don't see that. That is something you want to be very, very aware of. The next thing when we're talking about interest is the equation itself. And that is what I want to kind of run through right here. Slideshow. Okay. So as we've kind of talked through, the equation for interest is not just simply principal and interest, right? So as you've kind of seen, if you take $100,000 at 8%, if it was just simply principal times interest, you would only pay $8,000 on the life of the loan for that loan. Obviously, there's a little bit more to that. The equation for interest is, so it would be foolish to compare $100,000 at 8% at 8,000 to say $10,000 at 20%, which is 2,000. The math doesn't really work out. There has to be another portion of that equation that you have to look at. And so when you look at your equation for interest, it's 3 parts. It's principal times interest times time. Okay. So going back to the amortization schedule, when I'm looking at that principal of $100,000 times the interest rate of 8%, we have to remember that that is every year that you have it. So it's per year for 30 years. So that $8,000 is what you pay that first year. You only pay something like $8,600. So you pay all the interest that approves and then an extra $600. Then in year 2, you pay another $8,000 plus a little bit of interest. That's how they get you. And that's why they want to make sure that they're starting that clock over as often as they can. So when we want to make sure that we take control of the portions of the equation. So again, interest times time times principal. So I want to ask a question, and I'd love for you to take a look at this on this, Korbie, if I can get some participation on this.
Sure.
If I had a house and I wanted to know what the better deal was, I could get a house at $59,900 at 17.43% interest over 30 years. Or I could get a house at $89,000 at 11.41% interest over 30 years. Or simply just kind of break it down super easy, I could get a house for $875 a month over 30 years. Which of these deals would be the best deal? And if I could get somebody to just put in the chat what they think they would go. If somebody was to offer you these 3 deals, these were the choices you had. Which one would be, assuming that the houses were very similar, which one would be the better deal?
Guys, you want to take a stab at it? Anybody?
I'm
Oh.
thinking the 89,000 at 11.41%.
Okay. All right. And that's a really good guess. Can I ask why you chose that one?
Because I ran some quick numbers.
Oh,
Bada bing.
look at you.
She did the
Okay.
math.
All right. I like it. And that's exactly right. We want to do our math. Okay. Does anybody else want to take a guess?
875 per month.
875 per month. Any any reason you might have thought of that?
That including interest and everything else.
Okay. All right. Very cool. Anybody
Yeah,
else? That's a good one. So
that's
we
a-
got one at 89. We got one at 875.
Anybody else? Any takers of the 59.9?
59.9. Anybody? 59.9.
3 or 4. Yeah, because they're both. Oh, I'm on that.
Okay. Guys, anybody? So we got one taker. We have Mallory at the 89,000, 11.41% over the 30 years. Okay, we've got Marty's saying that 875 per month for 30 years is the better deal. And
And I say the same thing, 875 per month.
for 30
Okay.
years.
All
Okay.
right. So, and I appreciate you guys taking the moment to do this. And this is the final way that the banks will kind of take advantage of us. This is an illusion of choice. All of these will cost you $315,000 over the life of the loan. Whether it's 59.9 at 17, 89 at 11.4, or 875 per month for 30 years. All of them cost $315,000 over the same amount of time. So
Wow.
why would you put it this way? Well, we're all very different. Some people want a better overall deal. So they're going to look at that 59.9 and say, oh yeah, well, it's $30,000 cheaper than the 89,000. That's the one I want. And so I remember we have 3 aspects of the parts that I can control. I can say, okay, well, you can have a cheaper deal. I'm going to raise your interest rate and we're going to keep it over 30 years. And voila, same amount of money. Some people are really focused on the interest rate. So I can say, well, you know what? I can lower that interest rate for you, raise the price, same time frame, 30 years, and voila, over the 30 years, I'm still going to get $315,000. And then some people are really focused on their monthly budget. I don't know. 89,000, 59,000, 11%, all these numbers look super foreign. What I know is that I can afford $900 a month for my mortgage or rent. So that sounds good to me. So whichever way you cut it, however they present the deal to you, the bank is still getting the exact same amount of money. I want to really kind of segue because this is an important aspect. When we go to the car dealerships, they use this strategy to perfection to make sure that they manipulate you. So when you're doing your test drive, if anybody's looking to get a car, know what they're doing and use this for your negotiation. The salesperson will often ask you, so what's the most important thing for you? We've gotten this beautiful car. We're on our test drive. Is it the monthly payment? Is it the overall price? Or you need an interest rate? What they want you to do is tell them the specific number that you are most focused on. Because once they know that the monthly payment is what you're focused on, they'll be like, well, absolutely, I can get you this $875 per month. It fits in your budget. And now they've pushed out the payments for more years than you need. And they've lowered or raised the interest rate how they need so that you think you've gotten a good deal. But they've gotten the same amount of money that they would have looked at anyway. And they can adjust the price. They can give you a discount. Oh, we'll give you $5,000 towards the cost of the loan, but we'll raise the interest rate a couple percentage points and push it out to 7 years so that we can fit it inside your monthly budget. Don't ever let them find out from you what is most important. You want an overall better deal. and you don't care what the monthly payment is. You don't care what the interest rate. You want to know how much you're going to pay overall, and make them give you the best deal they can come up with without it. Finance companies will do the same thing. They will not do this. Our refinance companies will do the same thing. They will not do the math for you. They just want you to refinance. So make sure that you understand how to do the math and how to make sure. But yes, it all comes out to 315,000. I'm going to show you really quick so that you don't think I'm just completely full of it there. I'm going to do 89,000 real quick at 11.41%. It's 89,000 times 226 in interest. That's 315. I'm going to do 59.9 at 17.43%. 59.9 plus 255,104. That still comes up to $315,000. And you'll notice that no matter which way I do it, it's $875 a month. I've just broken it down in a way that it looks a little different, a little bit more pretty, and you're still paying $350 no matter how I slice it.
Can you put the 89,000 back in there?
Of course,
I'm doing
absolutely.
different numbers for some reason.
89,000 at 11.41%.
So am I doing my calculation? I don't can't see what your backhand calculations are, but if I did,
How are you doing your calculation?
I did the 89,000 times 11.410% times 30 years. That's 304.
Gotcha. So you can't do it that way. And so that's another thing that the amortization schedule is a very complex set of calculations. You're going to need an amortization calculator to do it. You can go to amortization.com, I think, or creditcard.com to run those numbers, but you'll see there's a sliding scale. And as we've looked, you pay the same amount over the time, the 875, in this case, 875.25. But you'll notice that there's a sliding scale between your interest and your principal over time. So your principal increases over time, your interest decreases over time. That calculation is also part of the amortization calculator. So you can't just do 89 times 11.41 because you have to take into account the sliding scale so that at the end of the 30 years, your principal rises enough to cover and your interest continues to go down until it equals zero. So, and that calculation is super complex. But again, you can go to if you do just a search on your phone for amortization calculator, there's so many free ones online. If you go to amortization, I believe .com or .net, they have a couple that you can work with. And this will allow you to really look at how much interest are we looking at? What's our monthly payment going to be? So that's a huge thing. And this is one of the things, like the banks really want these numbers to look very scary, right? The reason they want them to look scary is so that you don't look at them. It's mostly just basic math, but when you understand what numbers to add up, it's very easy to see when you're getting a good deal, when an interest or when a refinance would be an appropriate step, etc. And so that's huge. Last thing I'll just mention, because we're pretty much there. So yeah, again, when you're looking at a car, a house, anything, you want to take into account the total price, the payments, the term, and the interest rate. Not just a single one of those. You can't focus on one of those. If you can control 2 out of the 3 of the variables, this is what the bank has gotten great at doing. They control at least, sometimes they control all 3, but if they can control at least 2 out of 3 of those variables, they can make you pay astronomical amounts. Our goal is to take back the control of at least 2 out of the 3 of those. We can do that by controlling either the principal and the time that we take our money out for, or the interest rate and the time, whatever the case may be. And some of the tools that we'll look at, I think we'll probably start next week or the next time out. Some of the tools that we can.
We'll do that next week. Yeah, Angelina just asked a question about that. She just just put a question in the chat about the benefits, if any, of a HELOC. And so,
Yes.
yeah,
So we'll definitely, that's actually, so in my next one, we talk about HELOCs, business lines of credit, credit cards, and then I know Korbie has some of those where you can use these to look at, because interest is actually calculated, and I don't want to go too deep into it, but interest is actually calculated differently from a house to a HELOC to a credit card. All of these things, to your car payment, all of these things are actually calculated slightly different. And we can utilize some of the ways they calculate it to help us pay these things off exponentially faster. As long as we understand how they're calculating the interest, how much we want to take, and how much time we want to pay stuff off, we can really control how much we spend in terms of interest, and really focus on paying things down to the principal. So I think.
So
Go ahead.
Randy, just a quick question.
Yeah.
HELOC, thumbs up or thumbs down?
I love
Just-
HELOCs.
thumbs up.
Okay.
Thumbs up
Thumbs
for sure.
up.
Yeah.
Super thumbs
Yeah.
up.
It can become your
Well, we were
bank.
gonna text you separately, Korbie, on that,
Yeah.
but thumbs up,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. I love HELOCs. I love lines of credit. And you just want to be careful about where you get all your HELOCs from. And also you want to really hold them accountable as to how they apply your payments. And we'll kind of run through some of that as well in the upcomings. But yes, HELOCs are great. Lines of credit that don't expire are great. Creating your own can be awesome. And we'll go through some of that in the upcoming thing there. But I will stop here because I know we kind of went through a lot here in the last 20 minutes. I do want to ask, is there any other questions on what we talked about how you can manipulate either your principal in time, or interest in time, or time in principal to manipulate how much you're paying in interest in total on your homes or cars or student loans or anything, really?
And guys, real quick, just so you can see the way that Randy has this is the reason that you're able to take a credit card, a 24% interest rate credit card, and you're able to use it to chunk down your mortgage payment and be able to, people would think you're crazy if they say, hey, are you going to make use $10,000 on this 24% interest, this 24% interest tool to pay down something which you supposedly have a 6% interest rate or a 7% interest rate? It would be like you're crazy. But because of the principal times interest times time, that is how you're able to do that, and it makes sense. You see, so we're going to get deeper into this, but these are calculations, and these are things that most people don't understand because they don't teach us about money in schools. It's financial literacy is not it's not important because they want to keep you all broke. That's what they want to do. So
they want to compare $100,000 8% to a $10,000 20%. And if we all went to school, you basically need to break down to your common denominator. So I want to take my first 10,000. How much am I paying in interest on my first 10,000? Oh, that's 88%. Okay, well now it makes sense to take a 24% credit card if I can pay it down much faster, because I'm literally paying 88% in that first 10,000. I'm paying 87% in my next 10,000. I'm not paying 8% because of the way it stacks up. So that's where, but like I said, if you went on the street, like Korbie just said, if you went on the street, talked to a Dave Ramsey guy and said, oh yeah, I'm using my AMX to pay down my mortgage, they would think you were absolutely insane. And they would think, I don't know what class you're in, but they're scamming you. But math does not lie. It can be manipulated, but it does not lie. And your pocketbook will tell you the truth for sure.
Yes. But okay,
right.
guys. So listen, we're running short on time. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick up where we left off next week. So I know some of you have some questions, and just like I said before, I want to make sure and tell you guys, if you want to get a copy of this class, just let me know, and I will simply send you the copy. Last week I sent the copy out, and I don't know if you all got it, but nobody watched it because on YouTube it says who watched the video. So if you want a copy of this class and you want to be able to refresh your memory or look this over, by all means, just send me a message and I will send this a copy of this to you. All these classes are recorded. Okay, so we're out of time now, guys. So I'm going to have to cut this short, but I want to make sure that you guys know that the next class is not going to be next week. The next class will be in 2 weeks. Okay, so that's going to be March the 10th. Okay, and yes, I'll get you a copy of this one too. Yeah, you didn't watch the first one. No, I'm just messing with you, real.
We're gonna watch
Yeah.
it once we go through the process, Korbie.
Okay, all right.
Wait.
I'll send you a copy of this one. But just so you guys know, again, in 2 weeks we're gonna have another class. Between now and then, if you have any questions, you can always text me because we're sending you deals. We already sent a deal for Mary and Marty. They're looking to close their first deal. We'll see. It depends on how this walkthrough goes with this house on Leatherwood. But if you guys have all of your stuff ready, you know, we're ready. We'll send you deals, and we want to make sure you can start closing these deals. Okay, but if there are no other questions, we're out of time for today. I will send you the copy of the class. I got you, Rio, and anybody else who wants a copy, just text me. I'll get it to you. Thank you, Randy, for the very insightful information. And by the way, Randy, your voice did sound a little deeper on your new setup.
That's funny.
Okay. All right, guys. But until next time, remember, I just want to say one thing is that there's 3 kinds of people in this world. Okay. There are people who make things happen. There are people who watch things happen. And then there are people who don't know what's happening. So you know the kind of person you want to be. So go out and make things happen. Don't wait, and don't be one of the people who watch and you know, don't know what's happening. Okay. Until next time, guys, I will catch you all later. Onward and upward. Have a good day, guys.
Awesome. Thank you guys
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you,
Okay.
Korbie.
All right. Bye, guys.
Thank you,
Thank
Korbie.
you.